About lunchtime yesterday, it all pretty well started at Tathra with what a lot of us thought was just bushfire coming from the Victorian area, until we realised that it was much, much closer, in fact, at the back of Tathra. When I got onto the veranda at our house, 3 streets away from where the fire was, I could look back and see the Tathra school with the fire behind it. And it was about that time that we thought, yes, we better go.
And was that at about 1:30 in the afternoon, and the emergency warning didn't come through until about 4 o'clock, is that correct?
Exactly right, Corinna. We were all waiting for that emergency warning. We all had our phones turned on. We had some people at our place, so we had about 5 phones. None of them had any indication of what was coming at all. And that's what made it so very, very difficult.
So what was the problem? Why didn't that emergency warning come through sooner?
Well, I think the investigation will ensure that probably it was due to the mobile phone towers being out of sync or out of commission or burnt down. We're not quite sure. A lot of this is not understood completely yet. And also because, quite frankly, Tathra has a very poor mobile reception at the best of times.
So is that something that you would like looked at?
Of course, yes.
And just tell me, do you think then that it was miraculous that no one was killed and no lives were lost, that people were able to get to safety, given that they didn't get those warnings beforehand? They were just looking at the flames and seeing how close they were and decided to move?
Exactly right, Corinne. I couldn't have put it better myself. It was quite horrific that nobody was actually hurt. So when we saw the flames at the back of the Tathra school behind us, we told neighbours and friends as much as we could, running up and down the street, to simply get out of the place, because obviously the fire was very close to us. At 4 o'clock, when the signal actually came through, it said that the Tathra River Estate people, it was too late to evacuate and to stay and protect themselves, but everyone else to evacuate.
There were 69 homes lost in Tathra. Do you know how many that is, a percentage of how many of the total homes in Tathra that is?
I don't know exactly, but I think if you include the outlying areas, about 400 homes. So it's a huge amount of people, and a lot of them are people we know and love very much.
Let's move on to the recovery process now. Where you are, that evacuation centre is being turned into a recovery centre. People are being told they're not going to be able to get back to their homes until Wednesday afternoon. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And it's because of asbestos fears?
Yes, there's that one. Plus, as I understand it, there's a lot of electricity poles that are on fire and very dangerous. There are lines down. There are trees that have been weakened, possibly by the fire, that may fall on people. So there's lots of things that really the RFS has said, no, don't go back, it's far too dangerous. We'll have to look after you rather than looking after the problem at hand.
And how many people are there at that evacuation centre in Bega?
I'm sort of looking around. There'll probably be about 200 now. A lot of them in the evening, like last night, actually go with friends who live in Bega or outlying areas and stay with them. It's people like my husband and I who have animals that actually stay here overnight, because it's a bit difficult to take animals with you to other people's places. So we will be spending the night here, as we did last night, with our 2 dogs. They're in the back of the car, we're in the front.
Liz Seckold, do you know what's happened to your home?
No. This was such a worry. All our relatives and friends were ringing up and asking about this. But I have been assured, when some of the people actually went through Tathra today, that our house is still standing. And I want to say woohoo for that.
That must bring you...
And I'm very, very sorry for all our friends who didn't have that happen to them.
I can imagine that that must bring you and your husband some relief, though.
It does, yes, certainly. Yeah.
And what services are there and what services are being put in place to help the community to get back on its feet?
Look, any service you want is here. Quite frankly, this is what the Bega Valley community does extremely well. Everybody has come together here. We have every service facility here. The Woolworths in town has donated the food. The Bega Lions have cooked it. The Showground Society have served it up. We have Red Cross, the Salvation Army. We have FACS in case people need accommodation. We have so much help, and thank you to all of those wonderful people.
Okay, thank you for your time and for your gracious spirit, Liz Seckold, in demanding circumstances. Thank you.
And also, particularly the firefighters, thank you very much for saving so many of our homes.